The average American mortgage payment right now is $2,329 a month. That's $27,948 a year. Over 30 years, a typical $400,000 home loan at today's rates will cost you over $500,000 in interest alone. That means you'll pay the bank $900,000 for a $400,000 house. And you already know that. That's exactly why millions of homeowners are sending an extra $230, sometimes $500 a month straight to their mortgage principal, hoping to escape that trap faster. It feels responsible. It feels smart. Your parents told you to do it. Your bank told you to do it. But here's the problem. Every single extra dollar you send to your mortgage principal disappears into a locked vault that you cannot touch, cannot access, and cannot use, unless you sell your house or borrow it back at a higher interest rate than the one you just paid off. And nobody in that transaction has any incentive to explain that to you. My name is Felix, and I create easy-to-understand animated videos about personal finance. If that's something that interests you, consider subscribing. Today I'm going to walk you through something I call the equity trap. It's the reason millions of financially responsible Americans are making themselves poorer by doing exactly what they were taught was the right thing. We're going to cover the real math behind extra mortgage payments, why your bank secretly loves when you overpay, and the specific strategy that could put an extra $200,000 in your pocket over 20 years. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why the most commonly repeated mortgage advice in America is mathematically backwards. Let me start with a story that might sound familiar. A couple we'll call the Hendersons bought a $400,000 house in 2019 with a 30-year fixed mortgage at 3.25%. Their monthly payment was $1,740 for principal and interest. After taxes, insurance, and escrow, they were sending about $2,400 a month to the bank. Tight but manageable on their combined income of $110,000 a year. Then they read an article about paying off your mortgage early. The math was seductive. If they sent just $200 extra per month straight to principal, they'd shave about 5 years off their loan and save roughly $50,000 in interest over the life of the mortgage. 5 years of freedom, $50,000 saved. It sounded like the smartest financial decision they'd ever make. So they did it. Every single month, like clockwork, an extra $200 went straight to the bank. They cut back on dinners out. They skipped vacations. They didn't invest. They didn't build up their savings. Every spare dollar went to the mortgage. They were being responsible. Then, 14 months later, their car transmission blew. Repair, quote, $4,200. They didn't have it. Their emergency fund was $800 because every extra cent had been going to the house. So where did that $200 a month they'd been overpaying go? It was sitting inside their walls, literally trapped in their home equity, and the only way to get it back was to take out a home equity line of credit at 7.18%. Let me say that again. They paid off debt at 3.25% interest, then had to borrow it back at 7.18% interest, plus closing costs, just to fix their car. That is the equity trap, and it is wildly common. Here's the thing nobody talks about. Your home equity is not a savings account. It's not an emergency fund. It's not liquid. It's not accessible. It just sits there doing absolutely nothing for you unless you sell the house or take on new debt to pull it out. And yet, the entire financial advice industry treats it like a piggy bank you should stuff as aggressively as possible. Sending extra money to your mortgage is like depositing cash into a bank vault that only opens if you sell the vault or pay the bank a fee to peek inside. And somehow, we've all been taught this is the smart move. Now let me show you why this matters, with real numbers. This is where it gets uncomfortable. Let's go back to the Hendersons. They have a $400,000 mortgage at 3.25%. Their scheduled monthly P&I payment is $1,740. They're sending $200 extra per month. That's $2,400 a year going to extra principal. Over 10 years, they will have sent the bank $24,000 in extra payments. And here's what they'll get for it. They'll owe about $284,000 instead of $302,000 on their mortgage. So they knocked $18,000 off their remaining balance beyond what normal payments would have done. But wait. They sent $24,000 in extra payments and only reduced their balance by $18,000 more than scheduled? Where did the other $6,000 go? It went to slightly less interest on a loan they were already paying down on schedule. They saved about $6,000 in future interest over those 10 years. That sounds nice until you see what else they could have done with that money. But it gets worse. Let's say instead of sending that $200 a month to the bank, the Hendersons put it into a simple S&P 500 index fund. The S&P 500 has averaged about 10.4% annually over the last 30 years. Let's be conservative and use 8%. $200 a month at 8% for 10 years equals $36,589. So their two choices were: send $24,000 to the bank over 10 years and reduce your future interest by about $6,000 for a total benefit of roughly $6,000. Or invest that same $24,000 over 10 years and have $36,589 sitting in a brokerage account you can access with a phone call. That's not a close race. The investing path gives them $36,589 in liquid, accessible wealth. The mortgage path gives them $18,000 trapped in their walls and $6,000 they'll never actually see unless they hold the house for another 20 years. And I am not done yet. Let's extend this out to 20 years, because the compound interest curve doesn't just grow, it explodes. $200 a month at 8% returns for 20 years equals $117,804. The Hendersons now have almost $118,000 in an accessible investment account. Meanwhile, the couple who overpaid their mortgage, they've sent $48,000 in extra payments to the bank. Their mortgage balance is lower, yes, but that equity is still locked inside the house. They can't spend it. They can't invest it. They can't use it for their kids' college. And if they need it, they'll pay 7% or more to borrow it back from a HELOC. Let me put this differently. The family that invested has $118,000 in cash they can touch. The family that overpaid has a slightly lower number on a piece of paper from the bank. And both families still own the exact same house. Both will eventually pay it off. The only difference is one family has an extra $118,000 and the other has a warm feeling about being ahead on a 30-year payment schedule. That warm feeling cost them over $100,000. Now you might be thinking, Felix, but the family that overpaid saved on interest. That has to count for something, right? Fair point. Let's do that math too. Over 20 years, the extra $200 per month saves the Hendersons approximately $62,000 in total interest on their 3.25% mortgage. That's real money. I won't pretend it isn't, but here is the comparison. Path A, overpay the mortgage, saves $62,000 in interest, but all equity is trapped in the house. Net accessible wealth gained, $0. Path B, invest the $200, accumulate $117,804 in a liquid brokerage account. Minus the $62,000 in extra interest you'll pay on the mortgage, by not overpaying, your net advantage is still over $55,000. And you had access to that money the entire time. Now here's where most people's brains break, so let me be very precise. The mortgage overpayer saves $62,000 but can't touch it. It only materializes as savings on paper when the mortgage is fully paid off. The investor loses that $62,000 in additional interest charges over 20 years, but has $118,000 sitting in cash. Even after subtracting the extra interest, the investor is $55,000 richer and has liquidity. That's not even accounting for the fact that the investor could, at any point during those 20 years, take their investment balance and write one check to pay off the remaining mortgage in full, if they wanted to. The overpayer doesn't have that option. Their money is gone. It's in the walls. But it gets worse. Remember, the Hendersons locked their $200 per month at 3.25% because that's the interest rate they were saving. But that $200, if invested even conservatively at 8%, is earning more than double the rate they were saving. This is what financial professionals call interest rate arbitrage, and it sounds complicated, but it's really just this. If you can borrow money at 3% and invest it at 8%, every dollar you pay back early at 3% is a dollar that could have earned you 8%. You're leaving 5% on the table every single month. Over 20 years, that 5% gap compounds into a six-figure difference. Now here's the part that might make you angry. Your bank knows this. They know it better than you do. When you send in an extra $200 principal payment, the bank doesn't take that money and lock it in a special room with your name on it. They take your money and immediately lend it out to someone else at a higher rate, or invest it in treasury securities yielding 4% or more. You just gave them capital for free. You essentially made a donation to the bank's investment portfolio while simultaneously removing your own ability to invest that same money, and they'll thank you for it. They might even send you a little statement showing how many months ahead of schedule you are. That statement is not a reward letter. It's a receipt for a transaction that benefited them more than it benefited you. This is the part that really gets me. The system is designed perfectly. Your parents taught you that debt is bad. The mortgage industry taught you that paying it off early is noble. Financial gurus built entire empires telling you to attack your mortgage. And all of those messages point in the same direction. Send the bank more money faster. Nobody in that chain has an incentive to tell you to keep your money and invest it instead. Not the bank, not the real estate agent, not the financial advisor selling you the dream of being debt-free. Let me be clear, I'm not saying debt is good, and I'm not saying you should never pay off your mortgage. What I'm saying is that the order matters, and most people get the order catastrophically wrong. Here's what that actually feels like day to day for the family that overpaid. It feels like checking your bank account after paying bills and seeing $200 less than you need. It feels like telling your kids you can't go to the water park this summer because the money is going to the house. It feels like watching your coworker take a trip to Europe while you sit at home knowing your net worth is technically higher than theirs, but you can't access a single dollar of it. It feels like being equity rich and cash poor, owning a $500,000 house but sweating a $600 car repair. And that's not financial security. That's financial prison with a nice mailbox. So what do you actually do with this information? Here are the exact steps. Step 1. This week, stop all extra mortgage payments immediately. I know that feels terrifying. I know it feels like you're giving up. You're not. You're redirecting. Every dollar you were throwing at the bank is about to start working for you instead of them. Step 2. This month, open a high-yield savings account if you don't have one. Right now, the best ones are paying around 4% APY. That is real interest your money is earning, sitting in your account, accessible to you within 24 hours. Build your emergency fund to at least $10,000 before you do anything else. Right now, 59% of Americans can't cover a $1,000 emergency. Don't be that statistic. A $10,000 emergency fund is the single most important thing standing between you and financial disaster. Step 3. Once your emergency fund is set, take that former extra mortgage payment, whether it's $200 or $500 or whatever it was, and set up an automatic monthly investment into a low-cost S&P 500 index fund. Vanguard, Fidelity, Schwab, it doesn't matter. What matters is that your money starts compounding at 8 to 10% instead of sitting trapped inside drywall at 3 to 6%. Step 4. In 5 years, check your investment balance. If you were putting $300 a month in, you'll have roughly $22,000 in actual accessible cash, assuming an 8% return. That's $22,000 you can use for anything. A new roof, a career change, a down payment on a rental property, or yes, a lump sum mortgage payoff if you still want to. The point is this: you now have options. The mortgage overpayer never had options. The bank had their money the whole time. Now, this strategy does not work for everyone. Let me be honest about that. If your mortgage rate is above 7%, the math starts to tilt toward paying it down, because the guaranteed return of saving 7% interest is competitive with average market returns. If you're within 5 years of retirement and you want the psychological certainty of owning your home outright, that peace of mind has genuine value that math can't fully capture. And if you have high-interest debt like credit cards at 20% or more, forget both options. Pay that off first. That's a financial fire, and everything else is rearranging furniture. But for the vast majority of homeowners sitting on a mortgage rate between 3 and 6.5%, which is most of the mortgages originated in the last decade, the math is overwhelmingly clear. Your extra payments are making the bank richer and making you poorer. Remember the Hendersons? They had two paths in front of them. Path 1, send $200 extra to the bank every month for 20 years. Save $62,000 in interest they'll never actually see. End up with the same house, no accessible savings, and a marginally shorter mortgage. Path 2, invest that same $200 a month for 20 years. Build $118,000 in liquid, accessible wealth. Still own the same house. Still pay off the mortgage on the original schedule. But now they have a six-figure investment account, a funded emergency cushion, and the ability to write a single check and pay the entire remaining balance off whenever they choose. One path looked responsible. The other path is responsible, and nobody told them the difference because everyone who could have told them profits from their silence. That's the equity trap. And now you know how to walk around it. If this changed how you think about your mortgage, do me a favor and send this video to one person you know who's overpaying theirs right now. They deserve to see this math before they lock another dollar inside their walls. My name is Felix. I'll see you in the next one.